Hi, I'm Dieter. This is Wes. And this is a whole new thing that we got going on here at Chase Center. Not only a new arena, new uniforms tonight, but this doesn't look anything like the Golden State Warriors we've come to know and perhaps even love. This is a completely different team, and they're still not very good. And they're probably not going to get much better from here on out. They lose to the Spurs 127-110. There were some competitive moments in this game, early on at least, and then the bottom fell out. Wes, what was your takeaway of the D'Angelo Russell experience? Because that's what this game was.
Well, you said that they don't look like the Warriors we knew. They're playing in a new building. They're playing like the floor looked like it was an Indiana Pacers game.
It did.
These throwbacks. I thought it was a Pacers Spurs game for like the whole first quarter.
It felt
I was
like it.
very confused.
It felt like it.
And then I remembered I wasn't in Indiana, but with all of that looking aesthetically different, so did the Warriors' style of play. I mean,
Right.
It was excruciatingly slow in that first quarter. It was
97
pick and roll,
pace
pick and roll,
overall.
pick and roll overall in the game. 97. It was
Yeah.
92 in the first quarter. It actually got faster as the game went on. Believe it or
Jesus
not.
Christ.
And with every play seemingly started with the trigger of the D'Angelo Russell, Willie Cauley-Stein pick and roll. And we know that D'Angelo Russell likes to play so slow. And he had a good game based on the stat sheet. But
Talk about that.
Oh, well, it was his best game as a Warrior. So
Not a high bar.
not a high bar. He looked more comfortable, and nobody else really looked that comfortable.
Yeah, no one else is going to do it.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, it's whatever he gives you plus, I guess, scraps. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no alternative. I mean, your second best offensive player is Jordan Poole. I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein, Alec Burks. I mean, they're playing Damian Lee 25 minutes a night. He's on a two-way contract.
Yeah.
And like, that's not ridiculous that they play him 25 minutes a night. They were playing him as part of a normal rotation 25 minutes a night. You mentioned the D'Angelo Russell pick and roll. That's the only thing you can run with him. What he likes to do is play that in a super slow way, and that's why it was so jarring. We've talked about this a couple of times now. The Warriors are predicated on playing fast. And now they have like the slowest dude in the NBA running things. I guess it's nice that this entire team is new because this is jarring visually to watch. And I add in the fact that they had a 130 defensive rating in this game. They have a chance to be the worst defensive team in the history of the NBA. I mean, it's just flat out.
Yeah.
The record is 116 set last year. Points per 100 possessions allowed. They're at like 120 right now.
They're at 120. They were at 121, and they were at 127 for the last game. This 130 defensive rating is going to push it back up to that 127 mark.
Yeah.
Look, all the things aside, I mean, you lose Steph Curry. He's not a great defender. He's a good communicator defensively.
He was their
I think he
best
helps them.
perimeter defender, and he's not a good defender.
And he's not a good defender. But the same issues that plagued them when Curry was even still playing were there tonight. And let's
100%.
keep in mind the Spurs were playing on the second night of a back-to-back. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of Warriors fans that are going to say, well, look, it was close. You know, they were without Steph. It takes an adjustment period, but maybe there's some optimism. I don't know. Like, the Spurs they're not just playing a second night of a back-to-back. They're coming off a game against the Clippers, who might go and win the title this year.
Right, and their arc in the game went like this.
Yes.
They got better as the game went along. The Spurs do not shoot a lot of threes. They are going to zag when everyone else zigs. That's how they remain relevant in San Antonio. They shot 23 three-pointers. 23 three-pointers, say that 10 times fast, in the first half. They average 23 three-pointers per game this season. The Warriors, as we've seen in the prior games to this, just give up a ton of wide-open threes. And in their case, they got lucky in the first half tonight because the Spurs, with their kind of tired legs off of the second game of a back-to-back, just missed a bunch of wide-open ones. And then eventually they're like, I guess we shouldn't take so many of those and just drive to the basket because that's wide open too. Again, this is going to, with Draymond Green playing, this is probably going to be the worst defensive team in the history of the NBA, and your offense is hoping that D'Angelo Russell can somehow, some way, have a game where he goes for 35, 40 points on an efficient shooting night. Now,
That sounds like the way that they were going to win with Steph.
Right. No, that's fair. That's
and-
fair, except you had another option. You
Right.
had Steph, and then you had Russell. You could stagger them, and you'd hope that those two guys could get the job done. Now you just have one, and Jordan Poole's anchoring your second unit.
Yeah. And as far as Draymond Green goes, you're right. I mean, he is anchoring now this defense as he was all season.
Yeah.
But based on the new reconfigured expectations and management of this roster, his minutes are going to be managed more than they ever were. I'd be surprised. He played, 34 minutes tonight?
He's not playing tomorrow either.
He's not going to play tomorrow against Charlotte. He's
No.
probably not going to play on the second night of many back-to-backs, if any, this season. And the only reason I'd say he would be is maybe a nationally televised one, just
Yeah.
looks and PR sake.
Listen, LeBron's not going to let him sit. I mean, you don't sign with Clutch Sports and then sit out a lot of nationally televised games. You got to keep the brand up. Draymond did have a wrap on his left index finger after this game. He said that he couldn't grip the ball with his left hand, which I don't know if he was doing all that great with it beforehand. From about the second quarter on,
Left hands have been a problem the last couple of days.
just a smidge. And I cannot prove that he didn't go into the locker room at halftime and just start pulling that bad boy back, because it's tough watching him out here.
Yeah.
This looks like an expansion team. I think that I'm beating a dead horse with this at this juncture, but like, they're wearing new uniforms, they're in a new city, and they got a bunch of dudes who are on minimum contracts, and like D'Angelo Russell out there with Draymond Green, who looks exceptionally washed in this scenario. And it's like, wow, this is basically what the Seattle team would look like if they got an expansion team this year. And it's tough. It's rough to watch.
It's pretty incredible watching Draymond on the floor and just how frustrating it must be, because
He's holding it together pretty well.
In front of the media, but there's every other play a situation where he's pointing guys into spots. I mean, it is wild to think about where this team was and where this team is now. Steve said this before the game. You just take this 6-7 game stretch. If you go back between the last 2 games of the last NBA Finals and the first handful of games of the season, they've basically lost Kevin Durant to an Achilles. They've lost Klay Thompson to an ACL. They've lost Steph Curry, obviously, to this broken left hand. And then just this myriad of other things, like complicated neuropathic things happening with Kevon Looney. You had guys, just even role players like Willie Cauley-Stein, Kevon Looney, and Willie Cauley-Stein and Alec Burks, not available in training camp in the preseason. It's it's one thing after the other. And Jacob Evans is out for 3 weeks, and he was a useful player for them. Yeah,
he was looking actually pretty nice. It's not going to get better, and I'm now deeply concerned that they can even hold their head above water and be respectable in a fair share of games, right? Like, every dog has its day in the NBA. It's a parity-driven league, as much as we like to point at dynasties and the Warriors and all that stuff. This team is not on the same level. This team looks like the Santa Cruz Warriors. This team looks like a squad
that have a lot of the Santa Cruz Warriors.
Exactly.
On the team. The one, if I could find one silver thread here, silver lining. They shot 46.4% from 3-point range. 13 to 28 is one of their better performances from 3-point range this season. I do think that guys like Jordan Poole and Kai Bowman and Glenn Robinson will function better in a pick and roll heavy scheme with D'Angelo Russell and Willie Cauley-Stein doing it. Because one thing we know about D'Angelo Russell is he's run a lot of pick and roll. He's seen a lot of it. He's done a lot of it. Willie Cauley-Stein has been the rolling man on a lot of pick and rolls, especially last year in Sacramento. That is the crux of their offense now. And if you're Jordan Poole, if you're Glenn Robinson, if you're these guys, it's really easy to just sort of stand in the corners and wait for the ball to come to you, as opposed to what they were asking them to do before. I'm not saying long term it's better. I'm just saying right now it's easier. And maybe you're able to see something from those guys, and they're able to rattle off a couple of wins that way. This is me pulling on that thread.
It's not bad. Listen, there were some fun moments in this where Russell worked the pick and roll to perfection. The Spurs were playing straight up pick and roll defense, and Cauley-Stein slipped behind, and Russell just took advantage of the dude who was supposed to be guarding him. Like that was good basketball. They did a couple of nice plays. The issue is they have no other plays.
There's going to be nights where they're going to be able to run that pick and roll all night, and it's going to work. I mean, they're playing. Let's keep in mind they're playing Greg Popovich's Spurs, 100%. And again, second night of the back-to-back and everything. But this is a 4-1
they locked it down
Spurs
in the
team.
second half.
They did, but this is a well-coached team.
No fair.
And so most teams, I would say almost every team, is not as well-coached as the Spurs, right? So
they do get to play Sacramento a few times.
They do get to play Sacramento, and those are going to be the games where maybe there's a situation where they're able to implement the pick and roll and make other defenses look the way other offenses made them look so much early in the season.
I come back to, if their entire offense effectively is D'Angelo Russell running pick and roll, and I'm not saying this in a pejorative sense, can he be efficient enough to where that is an effective offense? And tonight, he was 9 of 24 from the field, which isn't horrific, but not good, and 3 of 11 from 3. Now, perhaps it's just a bad shooting night, but that's more or less in line with his career averages from beyond the arc. And 30 points on less than 50% effective field goal percentage is not even remotely close to good enough for this Warriors team, for him, anything. And again, he's never shown before that he has the ability to be James Harden light. He has all of the skill sets. He certainly has the ability to control the pace of a game, as we saw tonight. But Harden plays that style because he puts the ball in the basket a lot.
Right.
And he's pretty much the only dude in the NBA who can somehow make that style of basketball, one that I thought the Warriors expunged from the league a few years back, if not the Spurs before them and the Heat before them. He's the only one who can do it because he's so damn good. D'Angelo Russell needs to show, and I think he might have the ability, that he's that good. And then the other flip side of that is he'll probably give up as much as he gets because, again, not only is this a bad defensive team, he's a bad defensive player.
Right.
And you're going with a backcourt of Jordan Poole and D'Angelo Russell. Like, I don't know how everyone's not going to love coming into this building as a road team. Like, that's just points galore. I can chalk 50 up right now every game.
Boiling down what you just said, too, it's if D'Angelo Russell needs to be James Harden for this team to win games, you're basically saying D'Angelo Russell needs to be maybe the greatest isolation scorer of all time.
Correct. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not...
Given how bad
Yeah.
bad this team's defense is, he would need to be as good as James Harden.
There are certain things of his game, there's certain elements where he's a creative passer, physically imposing. Those are nice
Is
things.
he physically imposing?
Long wingspan, I don't know. He
he
could dunk, he could do stuff.
Yeah, no, but fair enough.
Imposing might be a strong word.
Because that's the other thing that Harden does. Like, Russell got to the line 10 times tonight.
Yeah.
That's nice. He needs to go to the line 20 times.
He needs to keep doing
and
that.
he needs to throw his body into it. And Harden, for all of his flaws, like, he's kind of a hefty dude.
Right.
He's got a big old barrel chest, and he'll put it right in you because he is the master. He's a master of the dark arts. He knows exactly what he's doing. And Russell, even though he's played this style his entire NBA career and even before that at Ohio State and probably in AAU ball and all that stuff, he's just not as good. I'm not sure that we expected him to be, but he's not.
The Brooklyn Nets scored at an above average rate with Russell running the pick and roll.
They had above average players around him.
And it was really only above average. And above
Yeah, that's
average
right.
can get you in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, not in the West.
So things are going great. I don't think we're going to see Draymond Green for a while. Yeah, I don't really have.
It's all
Eric
about
Paschall's okay.
No, he looks pretty good.
I'm sorry. We will start coming with you with scouting reports of very early draft picks in the 2020 NBA draft here pretty soon because Steph Curry's out for 3 months, and that might actually be a conservative estimate given the fact that this team's probably going to be 30 games under 500 by the time he comes back. So, for Wes, I'm Dieter. We got nothing else for you.